Why the X Factor is totally fake. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the SCREENY. The X Factor is one of the most popular, groundbreaking, and career-defining talent shows in history, but that doesn't make it flawless. Even the most avid fans of this hit series must admit there's definitely something fishy going on behind the scenes. Dozens of former contestants came forward sharing their stories and exposed the producers of this show for who they really are. Let's take a look at 10 reasons why the X Factor is totally fake. Before we reveal all of the dirty secrets producers of this hit show tried to hide, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Number 10. Constant bickering. Behind the scenes, drama is a crucial part of every TV show, but the X Factor judges have taken things to a whole new level. It's impossible to find people on this panel who didn't get into a brawl, and their heated alterations often made the headlines. One of the most publicized fights took place during Season 2, when Louis Walsh almost left the show after Sharon Osbourne threw a glass of water over his head. He was done dealing with constant humiliation and bullying, but Cowell somehow managed to convince him to come back. Animosity between the judges only escalated once Dannii Minogue joined the gang, and it was obvious Osbourne wasn't okay with having her on board. At one point, Cowell had to sit the panel down and ask them to maintain a civil relationship with each other behind the scenes. It obviously didn't work out since they kept on making the news with their frequent feuds, but many people felt their fights are just another publicity stunt X Factor producers came up with. Number 9. Problematic contracts. Being a part of X Factor is a dream come true for thousands of aspiring singers. But some of them claims it feels like making a deal with the devil. Each contestant on this show is reportedly asked to sign a 66-clause contract that could do them more harm than good. Producers are pretty much asking them to sign over their lives for a chance to move forward in the competition. Some of the conditions include signing over your recording rights, allowing the producers of the show to monitor your behavior as you compete and progress through the talent search, and using their vision to shape your performance. Even after X Factor is over, performers who took part aren't truly free. If you want to appear on another TV show of a similar format later on, you have to get permission from the X Factor franchise first. Contestants are forced to promote the show for free 1 month after it's over, but a gag clause is preventing them from complaining about any of this to the public. Number 8. Poor treatment. X Factor has a lot in common with talent shows of the same format, and treating contestants like garbage is one of the main similarities. One participant decided to speak up and expose the producers of this hit series for who they really are. She claims the lowly-looking meats they were served had been treated with more humanity than the aspiring stars on the X Factor. She compared boot camp to concentration camps where the producers are your jailers who would make you sit for hours in the holding room, where you wouldn't even be able to allow to rehearse or even talk. Another contestant claims that those who weren't auditioning were planted as the audience members at the Apollo and weren't even allowed to go to the bathroom more than twice a day. An anonymous source working on the show confirmed X Factor hopefuls have to spend long hours on the set, but said they knew what they were signing up for from the start. Number 7. Staged humiliation. Being recruited by the show's producers doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a good time. Several performers who clearly weren't talented enough to actually win were deliberately sent forward to the televised auditions so the judges could mock them in front of the whole world. Over the last 15 seasons, we've seen dozens of performers being humiliated for entertainment value and nothing more. The most notable example is a Pink tribute act called Zoe Alexander, who claims the producers encouraged her to audition performing a song by her favorite singer. She followed their instructions, but the judges ended up mocking her and eventually eliminating her from the competition due to her lack of originality. Alexander believes they were setting her up for failure and was so furious that she started swearing, dropped her mic, and hit a female producer once the cameras stopped rolling. Number 6. Absent judges. If you're showing up for an open audition in hope that you'll meet the judges in person, don't bother. They are nowhere to be found during the first round of auditions, and members of the junior production staff are usually the ones deciding your fate. Even if you manage to impress them, there's one more hill you have to climb. The judges will still be out of reach unless senior staff decides you're good enough to show your face in front of them. This move has been heavily criticized by the public because they felt producers aren't qualified enough to make fair judgments. They were also accused of using open auditions as an opportunity to get good atmospheric shots of large crowds, cheering, dancing, and holding signs. To make things even worse, aspiring singers were forced to wait hours without knowing how much longer they have to stay there or if their turn is ever going to come. Number 5. Recruited performers. A majority of performers on talent shows aren't people who simply walked into the audition and wowed the judges, and X Factor is no different. Despite the fact the show makes a big deal out of its audition process, many of the successful acts are recruited by the producers long before the show starts filming. This isn't some dirty secret producers are trying to hide either, as they went on the record saying vocalists they recruited have no advantage over anyone else. They also have to audition in front of the judges who determine their destiny from that point on. In order to avoid being accused of fraud, the masterminds behind the X Factor added a new clause in the audition rules, stating acts must be invited to audition for the show by researchers acting on behalf of the producer, after several contestants confirmed they were recruited this way. Number 4. Auto-tune. Auto-tune completely changed the sound of modern music, but there are still some spaces where it shouldn't be used, including the X Factor. Fans of this show were devastated after learning one of the most popular talent shows in the world was guilty of utilizing this technology to alter some of the performances on the show. All hell broke loose during season 7, when dozens of viewers complained about blatant pitch correction. They felt this controversial decision completely undermines the point of this competition, because the general idea is about giving a shot at stardom to people who actually knew how to sing. The producers of the show made it clear they don't really care about the sheer talent of X Factor hopefuls. They said some post-production work was necessary, but claims that there was nothing wrong with editing footage and sound in the way that they see fit to deliver the most entertaining experience possible. The judges already had to make the call at the audition stage based on what they heard live in the arena long before the voices were tampered with in the editing room. Number 3. Defrauding viewers. Just like many talent searches of its kind, X Factor is completely staged and heavily edited. This was obvious from the very start, when the judge Sharon Osbourne accused Cowell of rigging the show by editing footage of contestants in his category to make them seem more appealing. Several contestants claimed they were purposely shown in a bad light, including runner-up Rydian Roberts, who complained he was stitched up and unfairly edited to look like an idiot. Staging and editing footage wasn't the only tool producers used to defraud the viewers. They were also accused of fixing the results of the competition and interfering with the judging process. One of the most serious incidents took place during season 9, when the audience called out executive producer Richard Holloway for forcing Louis Walsh to change his vote. Number 2. Voting irregularities. Voting irregularities have emerged several times over the course of the last 15 seasons, and they are one of the main reasons why viewers have completely lost trust in the X Factor. The first scandal took place after season 3 wrapped up, when it turned out that ITV overcharged the viewers who were trying to place their votes. They said an inputting error was to blame for this mishap, and donated the extra £200,000 they earned this way to charity. Season 4 was followed up by an even bigger scandal when Leon Jackson's victory took the world by storm. Everyone expected Rydian Roberts to win from the get-go, and thousands of his fans complained, saying they were unable to get through and place a vote. Ofcom later conducted an investigation, but came to the conclusion that Roberts had not been unfairly disadvantaged. Dozens of similar scandals surrounded the series over the years, and exposed the voting process as deeply flawed. During season 9, producers slightly altered the format and decided to open the lines before the contestants had a chance to perform, but ended up being accused of money grabbing instead of receiving the praise they expected. Number 1. Familiar format. Simon Cowell started his career as a professional talent judge on the set of Pop Idol, and didn't want it to stop after the series was cancelled. He decided to launch a show of his own to replace the failed Pop Idol, and that was how X Factor was born. Once the new show hit the air, many people noticed it's extremely familiar, including the Pop Idol creator Simon Fuller. He didn't want to allow Cowell to steal his thunder, and took legal action, accusing him of copyright violations. The legal spat between the two Simons didn't just threaten the future of X Factor. They were still working together on American Idol once Fuller filed the lawsuit, and things got extremely awkward because Cowell couldn't simply quit his job. He was contractually obligated to stay and judge the US version of Pop Idol, working closely with his sworn enemy. He described Fuller's claims as totally and utterly ridiculous, explaining talent competition shows have been around since the dawn of time, but that doesn't necessarily make them copy-paste versions of each other. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content, and don't forget to check out one of the other two videos on your screen.